Alright folks, welcome back to Let's Play Starcraft. I'm the Mysterious JG. I'm having some headphone problems, and I have to listen to this game on the speaker, so I hope you don't have a lot of echo. It'd be a shame if you did, because we're getting ready to have our first ever mission briefing from our new CEO, who is with the Zerg. Because it's time for the Zerg campaign, folks. We've done the Terran campaign, all the way from the boot camp tutorial through the Hammer Falls, and the best ending ever in StarCraft. The Terran inauguration sequence thingy-majigger. So now it's time for the Zerg story. Ignore the fact that I already beat amongst the ruins off camera. I was basically just playing around with it to see if I could get one of the cheat codes to work where you listen to different background music, and I couldn't get it to work, and I'm annoyed with that. So at some point I'm gonna probably have to like just get there's a cheat code where you get different background music, and I couldn't get it to work for some reason on this. I don't know if it's this version of StarCraft. It said that it was working, like it gave me, instead of chatting, well, I'll explain when I get into the game, but let's just stop talking and start killing Terrans with the, what's the term it uses? The calculating blows the Protoss, and being consumed by the Nightmarish Zerg. So let's get down to playing as the Nightmarish Zerg. Zerg campaign, Overmind. The swarms have crushed the meager human resistance and laid waste to 9 of the 13 Terran worlds. Shortly after the fall of the Terran capital world of Tarsonis, the main Protoss fleet abandoned the Terran sector. Now efforts continue on Tarsonis to weed out the remaining Protoss forces. Amongst the ruins, Confederate capital world Tarsonis.
Awaken, my child, and embrace the glory that is your birthright.
Hey, it's a new friend.
Know that I am the Overmind, the eternal will of the swarm, and that you have been created to serve me.
Hey.
Behold, that I shall set you amongst the greatest of my celebrates.
That's good.
That you might benefit from their wisdom and experience. Yet your purpose is unique. While they carry forth my will to the innumerable broods, you have but one charge entrusted to your care.
Okay.
For I have found a creature that may yet become the greatest of my agents. Even now, it resides within a protective chrysalis, awaiting its rebirth into the swarm. You must watch over the chrysalis and ensure that no harm comes to the creature within it. Go now and keep safe my prize.
I'm into it. Wow, okay, so that's an interesting new face. Or a new eyeball. It's kind of a floating eye. It's connected to whatever this creature is by different strands of flesh coming from all different directions to join this eyeball. Yet it still has this free floating appearance, and you really don't get a very good sense of what this thing actually looks like. It's pretty cool.
Awaken, my child.
And exit the Coney. Know that I am the war chief. You are to carry out my will and put up Zerg burners.
Sorry. The Warriors reference. Starcraft tips. All Zerg buildings except the hatchery and extractor must be constructed on creep. Creep can be created by building a hatchery or a creep colony.
The hatchery is the heart of any Zerg colony. It spontaneously generates larvae, which in turn are used to spawn your various warriors and minions.
That's nice. There's a...
Now, create a drone and start gathering resources.
Looks like the little tumor was down there jiggling around and explaining stuff to us. Using the select larvae button on the hatchery can make it easier to select the larvae. Alright, so this is the Zerg hatchery. It's the central building for the Zerg. You can select larva, set rally point, or revolve burrow. This building allows you to both build units. It is the only Zerg building that can create units. All Zerg units are created at the hatchery. They are not trained by different types of buildings. Different Zerg buildings will give you access to different technologies and unit types, but they are all spawned at the hatchery. However, you can also evolve certain stuff here, or an evolve is their way of researching things. Instead of, you know, researching level 2 machine gun fire, the Zerg would evolve level 2 whatever. So let's morph to drone. Too many underlings create more overlords. Because this thing had 3 larvae, I'd select them all, and when I have all of them selected and click spawn drones, it attempts to evolve all of my larvae into drones, but I only have enough control for 1 more unit. Good stuff. Now I got 3 of these guys. They seem like pretty
Overlords provide control for your
stout warriors.
As your forces grow in number, you must hatch more overlords to control them. You have enough minerals. Select a larva and mutate it into an overlord.
So you can select larva. It selects all 3 of them. If you just want to do one, you click on one. Or you can manually click on one, because you can see them. They're just a pain in the butt to find, especially if you got a lot of units around. And morph to Overlord. While we wait on that, let's take a look around. Wow, I've already got a dozen Zergling. That's a sizable army, right? Yeah, Zergling need to be built in greater numbers than 12 before they become really a force to be reckoned with. Although there's Zerg rushes and stuff, you get just a half dozen Zerg very quickly before your opponents have any combat units, and then you attack. That's how it's done in the old multiplayer Starcraft. Who's this new friend?
To create new warrior strains, you must generate the various hive structures. The drones themselves mutate into these structures. Yet be careful. Never use your last drone to make a building.
I was waiting for it to instruct me to get them together, but I guess they figured I can do that on my own. Alright, so we've fallen behind. We require more minerals. We've fallen behind because I was waiting for them to tell me to gather minerals so I could follow the tutorial, but I guess they expect once you play through the entire Terran campaign, you've probably gathered that you need gatherers, resource gatherers. So somehow it seems with the Zerg, even more than other species, to me, it seems like you need tons and tons of resource gatherers. It's not true. They all require resources to come in at the fastest rate possible, but there's something about the Zerg that just really makes it seem like desperately essential. So now we've got an Overlord. Overlords are detectors. They are flyers. Overlords, I never really gotten Overlords. They are big. They look like they're full of like lighter than air gas. They're like balloons, but they're alive and they fly around and they provide. With the Zerg, the limiting factor is not supplies. The Terran supply depots are basically like houses from Age of Empires. The Overlords are supposed to be providing enough psychic power for your central Overmind or Cerebrid or whatever they want to call it to control the minions. The Zerg hatchery provides 16 control. Oh no, I'm sorry. It provides 1 control. I have a total of 16. So, having lots and lots of overlords is pretty much essential for the Zerg because they're building.
Order your drone to become a spawning pool. You'll notice that structures can only implant themselves upon the creep.
Okay. So, basic mutation.
Make creep colonies to extend the creep, but only a hatchery can be built upon open ground.
Spawning pool. Spawning pool is basically your first structure you're going to want to build once you've got some resource gatherers going. You'll notice that my population limit goes down because one of these drones is turning into a building. And although I didn't bother to really show it to you, as they said, all right, can't do it here because stuff's in the way. There's other buildings in the way. here's the big thing. Can't build like here. Or here. Gotta build stuff on the slimy creep ground. So I'll go ahead and build an evolution chamber. It's the basic research structure for the Zerg. Whoa, that was weird. It grabbed the young chrysalis and moved it, but then the chrysalis morphed back to where it was supposed to be. That was kind of strange. I'm also going to hotkey the Zergling in case we get attacked. I'm really taking my time here because I'm trying to narrate how a Zerg base functions. And we got the Zerg music playing. So we'll listen to that for this video. In the next video I'll try again to get that alternate music playing, and if I can't, I'll just give up and shut off the music. Now we've got a spawning pool. Huzzah. We've also got an evolution chamber. Everything you can research at these places involves Vespene, which we haven't started gathering yet, so...
Greetings, I am Zerg.
Hey, Ziz.
I too am a servant of the Overmind.
Hey, man.
Located a small band of terrans who could threaten the chrysalis and the hive cluster. You must not allow them to leave here alive.
Oh, come on, why not? If they don't hit the chrysalis, who cares? If they don't hurt it. Ooh, there's Zerg attack, or this guy's attacking as soon as I go to reach for my drink. But the Zerglings killed them before I could even get there. Although one of them's almost dead. Yeah. The very moment I set down my mouse and reached for a drink, I get attacked. But now we got stuff. Now, this might seem wasteful to some of you. I'm going to build another hatchery immediately. The reason for this? Can't build it too close to here, but build it fairly close. The reason for this is that hatcheries are the only buildings that produce units. So with the Terrans, like I already got kind of made fun of a little bit because I built a whole new command center instead of picking it up and flying it over. You can fly command centers around. So when I took all the minerals out of a starting area in that mission, the Big Push mission where you're playing as General Duke, somebody kind of teased me a little bit because I built a whole new command center rather than remembering I could fly my command center over. And just move it to the new area and have a new base and abandon the old one more or less. And I didn't do that. With the Zerg, you just want to build several of these. You want more than one hatchery. Even if you've only got one resource pool, you are going to want a couple of hatcheries going because the more hatcheries you have going, the faster you can pump out combat units. I'm not even pumping out combat units yet. I got my 12 Zergling and that's it. They don't have much health, which means they heal quickly because, Zerg units heal as long as they're standing on the creep, which is that slime. When Zerg units are standing on the slime, they heal automatically. Anywhere else, they don't heal, or maybe they heal very slowly. But Zerg units tend to be the easiest units in the game to kill. They die faster, as hard as this might be to believe, than Marines do. And therefore, it's kind of important that they can recover fairly quickly. Well, it's not important that they recover quickly, but it's actually weird. They don't have bunkers or anything, so once a Zerg unit is really hurt, you can't really protect it. So, I guess what I'm getting at is that they kind of need to be able to recover their health, or else every time you send them on an attack, you'll never be able to send the same unit on more than 2 attacks before it's going to be wiped out, unless they have some way to get their health back. Anyway, I also mutated one of the Zerg into an extractor. Extractor is the Zerg structure for... Oh, damn you guys. At least they're attacking the extractor, which has enough hit points to take this punishment for a while. And the Terrans were stupid enough to attack 2 separate Zerglings, which means they didn't kill any. Okay, so what am I going to do? I'm going to build some Zerg set 'em and forget 'em defenses. That's a creep colony. You'll notice my creep expanded out further when I built this hatchery. I'm really taking my time here, but this is, after all, the tutorial mission where we learn how Zerg bases work. Zerg have I like their set 'em and forget 'em defenses in this game. They're much less complicated than the Terran ones, where you have to get a bunker going, and you have to support it. Like, you can have multiple bunkers supporting each other or whatever. You notice that the creep extended out. When I built this thing, the creep moved further in this direction, but it's not moving any further now. It's gone as far as it will based on this Zerg hatchery being here. These creep colonies extend the creep, and they can evolve into spore colonies or sunken colonies. You can only get sunken colonies if you have a spawning pool. You can only get spore colonies if you have an evolution chamber. The sunken colony serves as your anti-ground tower, basically. And the spore colony serves as your anti-air tower. The spore colony is also a detector, which means that cloaked units like ghosts cannot sneak up on it or sneak past it. A cloaked wraith will not be able to fly by unchallenged and start shooting at your workers. And you do not need to wait for these creep colonies to extend the creep before you can mutate them. Sunken colonies and spore colonies will also extend creep. They cost sunken colony or spore colonies. Oh, sorry, creep colonies cost 75 minerals. Sunken colonies and spore colonies each cost 50 minerals to mutate from a creep colony, which means ultimately Zerg set 'em and forget 'em defenses, be they sunken colonies or spore colonies, actually cost 125 minerals, which is about on par with. That's more expensive than a Terran turret, but less expensive than a Terran bunker with a full set of Marines in it. I find these things to be quite effective. You see, there's no freaking way that the little small paltry Marine attacks they throw at me on this level are going to get past 2 sunken colonies. I used to, back when I played Starcraft 1 a lot, especially when I was playing along with Boba the Vulture and Lagman, and we kind of took our time and played against the computer cooperatively, I always like to throw down, depending on how many adversaries are expected, either 1 spore colony with a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sunken colonies ringed around it, or I would throw down 1, 2 spore colonies and have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sunken colonies around it, as these kind of like tower platforms. That's not really how you're supposed to play the Zerg. The Zerg are supposed to be aggressive. They're supposed to be spending their resources on mobile units, armies that can go out and attack. You keep units in your base to defend it, and then when the time comes, they can go out and attack. You can keep a reserve in your base to defend it. Large amounts of towers are not actually strategically a good idea for a Zerg player, because the longer the game goes, Zerg, well, this is a multiplayer thing mostly, but Zerg are considered the strongest race in early game. And the longer the game goes, the more and more it is to the advantage of the other races. So for somebody like me who kind of likes turtling, I like building up the tech trees, exploring all the different stuff, having all different types of units, and just kind of taking my time and playing the game. It's actually really, the Zerg are not the best race for that. You will be at a disadvantage as the game goes on, which is a shame. Mostly I started playing as the Zerg just because I like the look of them. I just think it's cool, these like scary, creepy biological aliens. But in fact, no, the game definitely wants you to not take your time with the Zerg and just get on with things. Okay, so now we got plenty of Vespines, we can start researching stuff. The Zerg have melee attacks. I've got resources coming in faster than I really need them to win this campaign. This is, I mean, there's not a very big Terran force here. It's the tutorial mission. I'll go ahead and build a second evolution chamber, just really out of habit. I always build 2 of them. I build 2 of them next to each other just so that I can be reminded to have 2 of everything, two things going at once, but to be researching a couple of different things at once. Honestly, in this one, I've got so many minerals coming in, and I'm just going to build 3, really. This is not normally a very wise. You want to have more than one going, especially having them going at multiple bases, because you lose access to certain units and buildings if there's an attack and your evolution chamber is wiped out. So if you're in a a multiplayer game and you have more than one base going, and your first base or your technology buildings you got started with is wiped out, but you've pretty much cleared out the resources and you can keep going with your other bases, you want to make sure your other bases have some of those tech buildings. Even though they're redundant, you kind of need it. So that was the Zerg spawning pool. Allows you to build Zerglings, because even though we started with Zergling, I could not have built more Zerglings without having this building. And you research Zergling upgrades there. There's 2. There's attack speed and movement speed. We only have attack speed in this campaign, in this mission. We don't have the full tech tree. So what can we research? We can research melee attacks. That's what Zerglings use. We can research missile attacks. That's what Hydralisks use. You'll remember Hydralisks from when we played as the Terrans. They're those things that really look like the alien from Aliens, and they come up, just kind of squirm up to you like snakes and spit stuff ranged. And then Carapace, which is the armor for all Zerg ground units. Well, except for infested Terrans, but we're not going to get that unit for a very long time. So I'll research all 3 at once because I'm being kind of wasteful with how many buildings I'm putting up. I'll go ahead and get more hatcheries going. Ideally, I often don't bother to get this many, but ideally, yeah, and those guys got killed before I could even see where they were attacking from. I'd like to have 4 hatcheries going at your main unit-producing base, because each one produces 3 larvae at a time. It'll produce 3 larvae, and then it'll sit there waiting on you to do something with the larva it's already produced before it'll start producing more. And that basically means that once you've got 4 hatcheries going, I forget how much they cost. I think it's 300. Yeah, 300 is it's either the cheapest or it's tied for the cheapest. I know the Nexus is 400. I think the command center is 400. So the Zerg main central base building is actually the cheapest. Go ahead and start researching Burrow, even though I probably won't use it. Burrow is the thing you might have seen Zerg units pop out of the ground. That's with this Burrow ability. The other building we need to get is the only other building we have on this level, which is a Hydralisk Den. You can guess what unit type becomes available to you once you have a Hydralisk Den going. But yeah, once you've got 4 hatcheries, each producing 3 larvae, then assuming you have enough resources to do it, and this can be difficult, once you've got a fully established Zerg base, you need a lot of resources coming in. You have the potential to pump out units very quickly, but you need a lot of resources. But once you've got 4 hatcheries producing 3 larvae each, then you can get out an even dozen. And I always like to do stuff in dozens because that's how you hotkey units together. The most units you can have hotkeyed together in this game, Starcraft 2 is different. This game, you can have up to 12 units hotkeyed together. So I like to have multiples of 12. I might do an attack with 36 Zerglings and 12 or 24 Hydras. Hydralisk Den gives us more stuff to research. Faster Hydralisk movement is nice. I always like to get increased Hydralisk attack range first. Although honestly, I'm not sure how much it improves it. But this can be I don't think that the Hydras are ever going to have more range than the Marines, but I could be wrong. It's entirely possible that if you have increased Hydralisk attack range and your Terran opponent has not researched increased Marine attack range, that you can attack them with impunity. I don't think it works that way. And we've mined this place out, so I've really overbuilt here. There may be more resources for us to get on this map, but no, I think it's time for me to start building as many units as I can and end this. I got plenty of Vespene left. I might hit a point where I've just got all these drones with nothing to do and they're all crowded around one Vespene geyser. I'm going to hit that point quite soon, actually. Because, yeah, I've very much overbuilt, but, you know, I'm trying to show you everything that you can do. And these evolutions will all be complete, which means I'm going to have 3 evolution chambers with nothing to do. One more time. Excellent. You can research all those things up to level 3, so normally I would still have research left to do with these. The last thing we have to research that we have access to here is going to be Hydralisk attack speed, but let's start pumping out Hydras. Hydras cost 75 minerals and 25 Vespines, so they're actually, by Zerg standards, a fairly expensive unit, and generally I spend most of my resources on Hydras. They're kind of the backbone of the Zerg. Zerglings are too weak to keep you going past the early game. You need to have Hydras. And our evolution is complete, so we can start working on Hydra movement. But let's see, what was it? 75? Yeah, there we go. And I used to play this game when I first started playing as the Zerg. I figured you're only supposed to have like 1 hive clusters under attack, folks. Actually doing a little bit of damage here because enough of them came at once. The sunken colonies will restore their health over time, slowly, automatically. They can't be repaired. They will automatically heal with time, which means that continuous attacks are going to kill your stationary defenses. Sadly, this game does not count how many kills your sunken colonies have. Because I'm a big on building towers, much more so than you're supposed to be as a Zerg player, I end up with sometimes with sunken colonies that have loads and loads of kills, and I wish the game would track it. Build more Zergling because they're so cheap. The Zergling... Oh, crap. That's going to throw off my count. The Zergling, for every larva that turns into a Zergling, 50 crystals each, and they actually cost... You actually get 20... you get 2 Zergling for every larva. So really they're costing you 25 each. Group them separately. Now I should have enough to finish that group and get more going. See, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, I screwed up my count now. I wanted a nice even number of Zergling. Okay, there's the second group hotkeyed together. What have I got here now? Well, I can make them burrow underground, and that will prevent them from being counted when I double click these guys. I need 2 more larvae to turn into Zerglings, and then I'll have 36 Zergling then. And 12 Hydras. That'll be more than enough to finish this map. And this one, once I go on offense, I'm going to win. The Terrans do not have enough firepower to fight off as many Zerg as I'm going to attack with. Often with the Zerg, you find yourself launching multiple attacks to wear them down. You could hit your population limit and not have... Because Zerg units are... compared to the other races, they are cheap and weak. So you oftentimes... Oh. A flyer came in. Hydras can shoot air. So that's one of the things about Hydras that's awesome. But yeah, you may find yourself at or near the population limit and still not having enough firepower with the Zerg to wipe out your enemies. So you have to send in a whole group, get a bunch of them killed off, and be building new units as your attack is taking place so that you can follow up. It takes more than one wave sometime with the Zerg to wipe out your enemies. Let's see, I'm going to be level 12, 57. I will have enough control to do this. Starcraft 2, not the game we're playing, so I won't be explaining in detail, but there are things that they did in Starcraft 2 to give the Zerg the ability to produce units at speed without... Oh, see, look at all these drones I got left over. I didn't think through how few resources I had. I've built up a nice Zerg unit, and this... Yeah, these guys would be still gathering resources fine. In a normal starting position, I still wouldn't have worked through all the resources I had, even at that, with that many workers, but I think you have a reduced amount of resources to work with here because they're trying to encourage you to move quickly and finish it. But there are things they did in StarCraft 2 to... so the Zerg can produce units en masse even with only one hatchery. There's like... Yeah. Everything is produced out of the hatchery because that's the fundamental how the Zerg work, but you're not as dependent. Normally, when you send out an attack wave, as I'm about to do, you want to have some overlords following them. I guess I'll do that just out of habit here, but that's basically because overlords are detectors. There is nothing you can do to make... You cannot build a ComSat station to scan the ground. You need to have a detector with you. If something is cloaked and it attacks you, you need to get a unit that is a detector there on the spot. You have no, like, okay, you get if you have full energy, you get 4 free shots at looking for the unit. Nothing like that for the Zerg. Luckily, the Overlords are a unit you need to build a lot of anyway, and in fact, you almost always have a lot of Overlords flying around your base, which makes using nuclear strikes, as we did against the Protoss for fun in that one mission, it's difficult to use nuclear strikes effectively against the Zerg, because they can always see your ghosts. Unless the ghosts attack like the very fringes of the base, an Overlord is going to spot them, and they're going to get killed. Anyway, so I've got Overlords queued up to follow some Hydras. So, let's go. I have an overwhelming force here, but I'm still going to take losses because it's the nature of the Zerg that you have casualties. Anyway, in a nutshell, this is why I like playing as a Zerg. Look at this. This looks so much more awesome than a group of Marines does. And I always end up, in StarCraft 2, where you get to pick your color in multiplayer, I always end up picking purple. I don't know why purple was the color for the Zerg for me. Hydras destroying the Wraiths. Excellent. Wraiths are worthless against Hydras. The only chance they have is if they have cloaking ability. Zergling are weak against almost everything. Fire bats are basically built to be Zergling killers because they have splash damage. So they're good at destroying lots of weak targets, which is pretty much Zergling. Anything with splash damage against ground units in this game is meant for killing Zergling. Haven't lost any Hydras yet. That's typical. Usually almost all of your Zerglings are dead before the Hydras start dying, because the Zerglings are faster and end up getting ahead of the Hydras, and they're also much easier to kill. So when you build a wave like this with a large force of Zergling supplemented by some Hydras, you end up with a couple of Hydras surviving in the end most of the time. Looks like there were some more resources I could take over, but oh, I won. I didn't even get to explore the northwest. Or the northwest. I guess the northwest is where I was supposed to expand to. Guys attacked me from that direction, so I kind of assumed there were Terrans there, but no, as you saw, I way overbuilt. I had way more forces than I needed to win, but hey, it's a tutorial. I'm walking you through how the Zerg work. And I hope I did so in a way that you found enjoyable. We will start facing much more serious resistance in later missions. But that's a good chance to feel like the Zerg are an unstoppable horde of monstrous beasts, which thematically is what they're supposed to be. It took us about a half an hour. We ended up dominating every score except resources because, as usual, the computer starts with a large stockpile, but the AI is programmed not to spend them at any kind of rate, because if they did, they have so many resources that if the AI was as aggressive as it is on a random map, you would get crushed. We produced 97 units, killed 54, and lost 16. I would consider that an overwhelming victory for us, and yet we still lost 16. And that's the deal with the Zerg. You are never going to succeed with the Zerg if you're not willing to take casualties. The Zerg, even when they win an overwhelming victory, they're going to lose units unless you completely ignore Zerglings and don't attack until you've got fully upgraded Hydras backed up by a later Zerg melee unit that we haven't been able to see yet. You're not going to win without any losses. And even with fully upgraded Hydras, if they don't have Zerglings distracting a lot of the enemy fire from them, the Hydras start dying. Structure-wise, it's always weird with the Zerg. I constructed 17, but I didn't end up with 17. Well, no, I did. The units, it gets weird because you produce 97, lose 16, but 97 minus 16 is not the number of units I had at the end, because units that go into building structures just disappear in that count. And we destroyed every Terran structure, obviously, because that was the entire mission. And resource-wise, I'm gonna say they started out with 9,000. What, 9,000? And they mined 90 and 5,000 gas, and they mined 96 gas with probably one SCV during that entire mission, and they spent 1,300. So yeah, we obviously start with 0, and we almost got there, but we mined 8328. Apparently that's the total minerals that we had in our starting base. It's a weird number, but we ran out and we never mined anywhere else, so that pretty much has to be it. Okay. Aggression, but we're not doing it yet. Okay, folks, I'm going to call it a video. I'm going to make sure that the fact that I'm listening to this on the external speakers is not creating an unbearable echo for you guys. When we come back, we're going to try to listen to the alternate secret cheat code Zerg music. And if that doesn't work, we're just going to shut off the sound, and eventually I'll get around to showing you guys the secret Zerg music, which is not exactly a secret. It's on GameFAQs. There's no such thing as a secret in video games these days, but hey, whatever. It's a fun little bonus. It's not like it really deeply changes your gameplay experience whether or not you hear the Zerg alternate music. But regardless of all that, we will be hearing that music next time. This is the, or maybe not. This is Mysterious JG. I want to thank you guys for watching. When we come back, it's going to be the Zerg versus the Protoss. Somebody asked me, I think a Feathered fan asked me to explain the Protoss, because hey, it turns out there's people watching this game who've never played Starcraft before, watching my LP. And that, that makes me happy. So, I will explain how the Protoss work in more detail than I did last time, because as they pointed out, if we have an entire campaign as a Zerg to go before we find out how the Protoss work, they kind of wanted to know how the Protoss worked earlier than that, and I think that's fair. So next time, I'll try not to bore you to death with it, but I'll explain a little bit how the Protoss work as we destroy them with the Zerg. Mysterious JG, thanking you guys for watching. I'll see you next time, and remember to serve the Hive.
Bye-bye.